We are going to talk about something I love talking about tonight. And that is starting a side hustle. Tonight's show is a show that we do every week with the Homesteady Pioneers. We do a show on Monday nights. It's called the Homesteady Live from the Barn Show. It's our 1 hour long, full-length show. While we are in lockdown, quarantine, pandemic mode, we figured we would open these shows up to everyone, for everyone to enjoy. One little thing that we could do just to help, everyone's life be a little bit better during lockdown. So right now, the paywall's open. You can join us for this show tonight. And we're going to keep putting out the live with the Pioneers whole episodes during this quarantine period. Once this lockdown stuff stops happening, we announced 2 weeks ago we were going to do it for a month while the quarantines were going on. So we're doing it right now. I hope you enjoy the show. In the comments, tell me, what ideas do you have for side hustles? What do you want to start? Do you have any questions? The Pioneers have their own chat box. The Pioneers Live from the Barn room where we normally do the show has a chat box. So I'm also watching that, guys. So make sure to let me know if you have any questions. Let's dive in. We're going to take a walk through memory lane. It's about 6 years ago. I started a podcast. It was the May of 2014, so we're coming up on our 6-year anniversary. Editing audio was a hobby of mine, something that I did in high school. I was in a couple different bands. I used to play music. I still play music. I was actually just playing my guitar 5 minutes ago before the show started. And I liked editing audio. It was something I did as long as I can remember. And then we had started our small farm. That was a hobby of mine. And I took these two hobbies and I mixed them. I edited audio, I farmed, I made a podcast. I really liked listening to podcasts at the time. I was working construction. I spent about 8 hours a day in a machine going like this. And I could run a machine without really thinking about it. I had done it my whole life. So having some story in my ears, learning stuff about farming, learning stuff about making money, running a business, all these other things I was interested in at the time. I would listen to podcasts. And then I decided one day it'd be fun to make a podcast. So I started Homesteady, the podcast, 6 years ago this May. A couple years later, it started to take off. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I can make a little bit of money doing this. I was learning about a lot of people who were making money podcasting. So I monetized my podcast. I made the Pioneer program, which you heard me just talk about. We have this live show we do every single week with the Pioneers. And I launched that program. It was $3 a month back then to become a Homesteady Pioneer. And at the time, you got bonus content and you got discounts on products and certain things. A couple years went by, started doing YouTube videos, monetized that. Monetized with Amazon affiliates there. A couple more years go by and here we are. I'm making a living doing what I love to do. It is really nice to spend your day doing things you enjoy, the things that you did as a hobby, that you did anyway because you wanted to do them. Now I get to do those and earn a living from it. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How you can make a side hustle, start something on the side, take a hobby, something you're passionate about, and monetize it and grow it. I want you to take a minute and imagine, what would it be like to get paid doing what you love doing? What would that be like? For some of you, you are doing it. Some of you, you're already there. Others not. I didn't always get paid to do my hobbies. That wasn't always the case. It took a long time and a lot of building. But I want you to imagine for a second, what would that be like? Think about something you love to do. Maybe you love baking, okay? Let's do this. Let's really take the minute and this exercise and think about baking. What would it be like? I wake up early in the morning. Bakers got to wake up early in the morning. Okay, wake up early in the morning, kneading the dough, putting it in the oven. I don't know much about baking. Kay does all the baking here, so that's about all I know. Knead it and put it in the oven. And then in come the customers and you're selling your baked goods and you're loving life. If that's what you'd like to do, baking, what would that be like? What about Making videos. Do you like making videos? Do you like making podcasts? Is that something you've ever thought about doing? What would it be like to every week work on a video about something you're passionate about, a topic that you enjoy, filming, going to different places and getting the right shots, then spending some time mixing it with the audio? What would it be like to do what you love and get paid for it? Imagine doing that 5 years from now. That's what's so cool is literally in 5 years' time. This isn't like a get-rich-quick scheme. Next month, you're going to quit your job and tell your boss to shove it, and you're going to be making that money. This is, if you work really hard, you can start making a little bit of money on the side, and you could grow it, and you could keep growing it. And maybe in like 5 years, like I did, you could transition from going to a job every day to doing what you want that day and earning money doing it. That's the goal tonight. Let's start. If you start soon, if you start tonight or tomorrow morning, the sooner you start, the sooner you might be quitting your job. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, how to start a side hustle and actually make money. Because there is a difference between just starting a side hustle and making some money. My son has wanted to start a lemonade stand for a long time. He's sitting here doing the sound, and he's going to be chuckling as we go through this because the poor kid, he's been wanting to start a lemonade stand, and he keeps coming to me. He's drawn pictures of what his lemonade stand would look like and what his sign would look like, and he's thought about how to make the best tasting lemonade. And I always discourage it. I always say, oh, I don't know, but now you guys know me. I'm not one to discourage big ideas. I'm not one to, say, you shouldn't try something. And I definitely don't like discouraging side hustles or starting a little business. But I have discouraged my son from starting the lemonade stand. Why? Because the poor kid grew up in the middle of nowhere. We're out in the boonies. We're in the country. And it's just not going to work. Sure, he'll sell a couple glasses to Dad. If I'm out there working and I'm hot and sweaty, I'll probably buy a couple glasses. And I'm sure he can get Mom with that smile of his. Maybe Grandma would stop by for the day and get a glass of lemonade. But after that, he's pretty much run the well dry. There's nobody else around here who's going to be able to get some lemonade. He could build the nicest looking stand. He could have the best tasting lemonade. But he doesn't really have a good market for lemonade up on the hill here. And so I've said to him, maybe think about doing something else. He has other little businesses he runs, selling farm fresh eggs and that sort of thing. But the lemonade stand, something that is so dependent on people knowing that you're there, walking by, just not going to work out here in the boonies. One of the 3 big criterias for starting a successful side hustle is people actually have to know that you're there trying to help them out, solve their problem. If they're thirsty, you got some of that delicious lemonade. That's one of the criteria. People actually have to know about this. And tonight we're going to share with you 3 pieces of the puzzle that you need to know on how to start a side hustle. So let's go back to the beginning and talk about what are those 3 things that you need. A side hustle needs 3 things. What is the first thing you need for a productive side hustle to make some money? Well, really, you need to develop a product or a service. People make money off of both. People make money selling widgets. People make money operating widgets that fix people's problems. So, products or services that solve people's problems. Really, that's what every big business, every successful business out there solves people's problems with either a product or a service. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, but that's the basic number 1. Number 2 thing for your business to work, people need to know about the product that's going to solve their problem. How many times has this happened to you? You've gone over a friend's house for dinner and they've pulled out a little, gadget or something in the kitchen, or you're out back in the yard and they're pointing something out that they just got. And you're like, oh man, I wish I knew about that thing. That would make my life easier. I wish I'd known about that before. People have to know about your product or your service. So you have to have a product or service that solves people's problems. People have to know about it. And then the third thing that you need to have a successful side hustle that actually makes you money is you need a way for people to actually compensate you for solving their problem. If people can't pay you, if they can't figure out how to reimburse you for the work that you've done or the product that you've given them, then you're not going to make very much money at all. So right now as homesteaders, we can solve a lot of problems. There's a lot of things that we can do to help people out there. Let's think about right now the shortages in the supermarket because of this pandemic. People having a hard time finding eggs, they're having a hard time finding produce, they're having a hard time finding meat. A lot of you probably have those right now. So this is just one example of a side hustle that lots of us could be actually generating right now. This side hustle idea is pretty easy. It's one that probably a lot of us have done, farm fresh eggs, right? If we have some chickens, before we know it, we're in the middle of spring or summer, the egg laying production starts to pick up, and we think we could sell some eggs. Right now, there are a lot of people who would probably buy eggs from you because they're having a hard time finding eggs at the supermarket. The problem, they don't have eggs. You have eggs. That's a product that can fix their problem. Here's the question. Do people know that you have farm fresh eggs available right now? How many people know? If people don't know, how could you let them know? Through friends and family? Maybe through social media? The more people that found out you have eggs, you might find the more people are coming by trying to buy eggs from you. Now, how are they going to make this exchange? They now know you have eggs. Do they come knock on your door? Do you have an honor system, little stand by the side of the road with a little money box they leave the money in? Do you have local supermarkets that will sell farm fresh eggs? You have to find out where and how are you going to actually do this exchange. So you have the product that will fix their problem. You let people know through word of mouth, social media, sending out an email. And then finally, you have the method that people are going to compensate you. There we go. We've officially designed our first side hustle of the night, selling farm fresh eggs. Of course, we all know, those of you who've listened to the podcast for any amount of time know, Accountant Mike would not approve of me being a pusher of farm fresh egg business. Right now, you could probably do okay with farm fresh eggs. You might get a thumbs up from Accountant Mike because of the supply and demand right now. There's a bigger demand, lower supply. You actually might be able to be profitable. But that's not the best side hustle business to start. Farm fresh eggs, we've gone into the numbers a lot on this show. It's not super profitable, not something that can grow very easily as a side hustle. So what side hustle should you start? How do you figure out what you should do? I did a coffee talk on Friday morning where I mentioned we were going to be talking about this show. We were going to be talking about this during this show. And I asked in the coffee talk video for you to leave your questions. And I went and I read through them. One of the questions that I saw one of our frequent commenters asked was, how do I know which side hustle to start in my particular area? I thought that was a great question. So where do you start? You start with problems. I want you to think about problems. That sounds like kind of a downer thing to do, right? Oh, I got to start with problems. Businesses are built from products and services that fix problems. And there are all sorts of different problems in the world. In the comments section, let me know what problems are out there that need solved and maybe could be addressed by our side hustles. So ready? Here's a few examples. Bleeding. Bleeding is a problem. There are products out there that you can buy that will help stop bleeding. That's a big problem. If you're bleeding right now, you will pay money to have a product to stop the bleeding. Hopefully you're smart enough to buy the product first. I have something I keep on me at all times. It is right in this little pack. It's called Celox. And that little product, I bought a big pack of it when I first learned about Celox. It is right in this little kit, my little bleeding kit. If somebody, myself or somebody near me is bleeding, I can pull that little packet of Celox out and it will stop the bleeding with pressure applied, Celox packed into the wound. Within 3 minutes, it will stop the bleeding. It's an expensive product, but it solves a big problem. I keep it on me at all times. I didn't even plan to talk about it today. It just is on me, and I thought about it. I have bleeding as a problem, and I thought, oh, there's a product to fix it. I keep it on me at all times. Hunger. Hunger is another problem that people will pay to solve. When you're hungry, man, how much will you pay for lunch when you're out doing a job? Maybe you're working and you start to get hungry. I remember working away, doing construction. I dropped a lot of money buying lunch out, but I was hungry and I needed to fix that problem. Boredom. Think about it. I get paid to fix boredom. I create entertainment. So when people are bored, they go over to YouTube, they watch a 15-minute video that I made. There's an ad on that video, and I make some money from that. Maybe they like the show so much, they become a Homesteady pioneer because they want more of it, because they're bored and they want to see more Homesteady. I make money fixing the problem of boredom, along with other problems, hopefully, but that's part of entertainment, fixing boredom. So really, all businesses are fixing problems. If you're a doctor and you're fixing bleeding, if you're a chef and you're fixing hunger, if you are a YouTuber and you're fixing boredom, helping to educate, there's all sorts of ways that videos are making money. Those are all different things that you can do. Here's some problems that I see in the chat box. Wendy says lack of TP, need for masks, no soap, no paper towels. No soap is a good one, Wendy, because while most of us probably can't make TP from our homesteads, some of us can make soap. So there's a problem that we could fix. Hunger, no income, simple car problems, entertainment or education. Simon Says Farms. Hey, Simon Says Farms. Guys, go check out Simon Says Farms channel. Jack from the Mindful Homestead's adding links for us. Thanks, Jack, for doing that. Jack is an awesome moderator, and they got a great YouTube channel. Go check out the Mindful Homestead and say hi from Homesteady watchers. So these are some problems that we might be able to fix. Now, how do we... There's a lot of problems in the world, right? Bleeding is a big problem, but if we're not a doctor and we're not a surgeon, other than helping someone quickly address the wound and then getting them to the doctor or the surgeon, we probably wouldn't go into that line of work, wouldn't go into that business. So how do we decide where to go, which problems to address with our side hustle? We want to solve the problems with passion. I really think for a side hustle, it's smart to do something that you're passionate about. By definition, side hustle is a business that you're starting on the side in your free time. Maybe you're bootstrapping. It's something you're doing separate to your full-time job. Something you're doing in addition to going and working a 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are. So you're already tired, you're already strapped for time, you're already strapped for funds. If you decide to do something as a side hustle because you think it's profitable, but you hate it, maybe worse or just as much as your 9 to 5, you're probably not going to be able to keep on going. You know, if you think about the time you're going to invest into it, the effort you're going to invest into it, it's something you should be passionate about, something that should drive you just to do because you want to do it. That way the side hustle actually lasts through the period of time where you probably aren't making much money. So let's look at it again with a problem. The problem is people have a hard time finding fresh produce right now, right? People are going to the supermarket, they're looking for their fresh produce. They're not finding it because a lot of people are clearing the shelves as quick as it gets on the shelf right now. Okay, so that's the problem. People need produce, vegetables. What passion do you have that could solve that problem? The obvious one is you're a gardener. You love gardening. You love growing veggies. So that is an obvious problem for you to take on with your side hustle. Start growing more veggies. Start producing more so that you don't need them all. You have a surplus. You've matched a problem with a passion. Now you have a good idea of where to go with your side hustle. I do not like gardening very much. I talk about that a lot in this channel. We're a homesteading channel. You would think, oh man, this guy's got to love gardening. I'm not really into gardening. I've gotten into growing more, especially with this pandemic going on. I've been interested in doing a little hydroponic gardening. I've been doing crack key gardening. I've been doing sprouts. I've been working in the raised beds a little bit, but I'm not passionate about gardening. I do it a little bit to feed my family. I'm passionate about feeding my family from my homestead, but I don't want to produce the amount of vegetables it would take to actually have enough to sell. That doesn't mean I can't make money or I can't link a passion with the same problem. The problem is people can't find produce on the shelves. I don't have to be a gardener. My passion is making videos. I love making videos. Like I said, editing audio and video was a hobby of mine. My passion is also feeding my family off of the land that I have. So I take my passion of liking to feed my family off of my land, making videos about it. I can make videos that show you how I am growing produce of my own so I don't have to go to the supermarket, helping you to solve that problem that you have, which is there's not as much food at the shelf, there's not enough produce. I've linked my passions with the problem, and I can make money with my side hustle, something I'm passionate about, solving the problem. Now, what if your passion is farming livestock? You're a homesteady person, you love growing, you got a couple beef cattle in your backyard, maybe you like doing meat rabbits or chickens. If your passion is livestock, if your passion is chickens, if you don't like working in the garden, you don't like growing veggies, you're not a YouTuber, you don't like editing videos, if you just want to, grow livestock, then this problem is not the one that you should develop your side hustle around. Instead, grow more bacon. People are looking for bacon. Grow more meat. People are looking for meat. There are other problems we can address. Just because there's one that's glaring right now, the TP problem is a huge problem right now, but if you're not passionate about buying bulk toilet paper and selling it retail, then that's probably not a way you should look to make much money right now. Side hustles are slow growing. They usually don't make a ton of money right off the start. Some of you will do really well, and they will, but for the most of us, side hustles start slowly. And I find you just don't make enough money to keep going with them in the beginning if it's something you're not passionate about. So a good way to remember this is if you don't like bees, don't try and make money selling honey. If you don't like being around bees, just because people make money selling honey doesn't mean it's something you should do. Now, if you're passionate about getting out of debt, then you can make that your passion that motivates you to do things you're not really passionate about. I think about driving for Uber or Lyft. Most people probably aren't really passionate about picking up a stranger and driving them somewhere. Most people probably wouldn't just pick up somebody and say, hey, get in my car, I'll take you where you want to go. But if you're passionate about getting out of debt, or you're passionate about saving money on the side to get to, this particular figure, this particular amount of money you need to then go and buy your homestead in the future, whatever it is, then you can do other things that you might not be passionate about, but you're being driven by that passion to get out of debt, save money so that you can do something you are passionate about. Or if you're just more entrepreneurial and you like to see your business grow, that can be a motivating force too. But not all of us are motivated in those ways. And so if you're not passionate about that sort of thing, find something that you are and try to match it. So there you go. Point number one, find a problem, use a product or a service that can fix that problem, and drive that whole idea something you're passionate about. That's point number one. Make products or services that fix problems. Now let's go to point number two. Point number 2 of 3. People need to know you fix those problems. This is why my son's lemonade stand won't work here in the country, because nobody is going to know that the lemonade stand went up. You could build a beautiful little lemonade stand, but the market isn't there to support the lemonade stand. And if you think about it, there's really nothing sadder than somebody going through the effort of bringing something to market and it just kind of being ignored, not even known about. Think about a produce stand. You've all gone to a farm fresh produce stand. How sad would it be to go to a produce stand where all the produce was rotten? Maybe we've seen this before. We used to go to a CSA, and once in a while we would always go last because we knew some people wouldn't go to pick up their CSA box, and the farmer was friends with us, he knew us, And he'd tell us, oh, you know what? Whatever they didn't pick up, why don't you guys take home? So we'd get a couple bonus boxes because we were the last ones there. We were kind of the cleanup crew. But nothing sadder than going to a produce stand and seeing rotting produce. Think about the work that somebody went through to get that produce there. From a little tiny seed they planted, they watered, they weeded, they watched that vegetable start to come up, and they pruned and they trimmed and they stalked and staked and sprayed, and whatever they did, they picked it and they polished it and they washed it and they put it in the basket. And you have this beautiful, beautiful little produce stand, and nobody knew it was there, and the vegetables just sat there and they rotted. All that hard work for nothing. That's what happens if we put together a side hustle, but nobody knows that we're there with a product or a service to fix their problem. So how do we get the word out? I'm going to tell you about my favorite bakery. You no longer can go to this bakery because they're currently moving. But my favorite bakery back in Connecticut was a So Delicious Homemade Bakery. They had these jelly donuts. Oh man, these jelly donuts were the best donuts I've ever had in my life. They were baked fresh every day from scratch. All the ingredients, there was no premixes. The jelly, I don't like jelly donuts. I never order jelly donuts. These donuts, these jelly donuts were my favorite donut because it was this perfect little raised donut, sugar on the outside, made from all fresh ingredients, and the jelly on the inside was a homemade preserve. It still had the seeds in it, raspberry seeds. So when you bit that jelly donut, you got the soft chew of the donut, and it would be warm. And then you'd hit the jelly, and there'd be the little seeds in it. You'd hear the little crunch as you crunch through a seed. It was perfection. If you bake something that good, if you make something that good, people are going to talk about it. And the number one way your side hustle will grow in the beginning is through word of mouth. So you go ahead and you bake yourself some jelly donuts that good, or you make a product that is that good quality, there will be some word of mouth that spreads, just your local community. But now the internet has made this even easier. Here we have in the picture these beautiful jelly donuts that I'm telling you about, and I put them in our videos back when we were in Connecticut. I told people about this place when they were open. Now I can't tell you about them where to go buy from them anymore, because right now they're in transition, they're moving. So hopefully we'll see them open again. Maybe they'll move to Pennsylvania. That would be come on guys, move to Pennsylvania. Word of mouth works, but here on the internet we see a picture they're sharing on their social media, their donuts. People follow bakery accounts all the time. People love getting pictures of donuts in their social media feed. People love getting pictures of cute little baby goats. People love getting pictures of farm fresh eggs. There are a lot of side hustles that a lot of you would like to do that people love seeing in their Instagram feed or on their Facebook feed. You should be using social media to help spread the message of what you're doing. But you have to be careful. Whenever I am working with someone, back before I did Homesteady, I had a marketing business. And I did a lot of work with different companies, helping them market their products. And one of the first things I would tell them, and I still from time to time will work with people who are trying to grow their brands, doing consulting, helping them grow their product or their brand. That one of the first things I tell them when we talk about social media is treat social media like you would going to a party. When you go to a party and there's a lot of people there, and you're at the drink table, you're grabbing a drink and you're chatting with somebody and you're getting to know each other, and they say, oh, what do you do? And you tell them a little bit about what you do. Do you then launch into an ad? Do you say, oh, I bake donuts every day, and if you give me $20 now, I'll double your order for 2 boxes of donuts? They'd be like, Yeah, I gotta go grab a bite to eat. You don't do that at a party. Social media is a social place to gather, you know, virtually. Right now, it's the way a lot of us are interacting more than usual. We have to treat it like we would going to a social event in person. We wouldn't launch into an ad every time we met someone. Now, if we were talking to someone at a party and we were saying, yeah, I bake donuts every day, and they were like, oh man, I love donuts. What do you make? Well, I make homemade jelly-filled donuts with a homemade preserve. I haven't eaten dinner yet, can you tell? Food's like, I'm hungry right now. And I haven't eaten a donut in like 3 months, so I'm really enjoying this donut picture right now. Donuts are like my favorite. So you're telling this person, they're like, I love donuts. And you're like, well, I bake them from scratch. They're like, how do I get your donuts? Well, then it's appropriate to say, well, you know what? If you want to order some donuts, you can come into the shop on Monday. I'll be open, and give me $20. I'll give you a box of donuts. That's how you want to work social media. When building your business, letting people know about your side hustle, don't be, hey, your business feed should not be ad. Hey, order now, call now, book me now, now. Treat social media like you would a party. Don't hammer everybody on your feed with, buy this now, this is half off, selling this, order now, shop now, book me now. Because what's going to happen? People are going to unsubscribe. People aren't going to want to follow. Show pictures of what people want to see. Tell stories. People love hearing about stories. So let's think about the people selling farm fresh eggs. You don't care what Accountant Mike says. You want to sell farm fresh eggs. Every picture should not be a dozen farm fresh eggs with the note on it saying, available now, $5, who wants them? Let us know about your chickens. Take a picture of your favorite hen, Lucy, and that cool thing she does. She perches on your arm. Tell us about her. Give her, personality. Show the different color eggs that your hens lay and tell us which breeds lay which colors. The Aracanas lay the green eggs. The Rhode Island Reds lay the brown eggs. The Marins lay the dark chocolate colored eggs. Teach us. People love learning about these things. Engage your audience on social media. Interact. Ask them questions. What's your favorite way to cook a farm fresh egg? Look at the comments. Answer the comments. If someone tells you, oh, my favorite way, I love doing Egyptian eggs, let me know in the chat box how many of you call them Egyptian eggs. And if you know what I'm talking about, but you call it something different, egg in the hole, egg in a blanket, there's Egyptian eggs is what we call them, the egg in the toast. Anyway, if someone says, I like Egyptian eggs, like, oh, I love Egyptian eggs too, they're one of my favorites. Engage like you would at a party. That's how you have to treat social media. Don't be on there just flooding people with ads, because they will unsubscribe, stop paying attention, stop looking, gloss over it. They're not going to be there anymore. Don't post ads, tell stories. Now, social media is a little bit different. If you're a local business who doesn't ship, if you're a small-scale business, I find Facebook and Instagram are really the ones you want to focus on. Facebook's really good for local business. Instagram is also pretty good for local business if you have a following of people locally. What happens if you do have a product that you can ship, or a product people can purchase on the internet? If you have a service that people can use long distance, that's where YouTube and podcasts like what we do here at Homesteady can be really powerful. YouTube is not great if you're a local bakery trying to sell donuts. It's going to be hard because your following could be worldwide. You could have a huge following in Australia, be like, I love your donuts. And you'd be like, great, you can never buy them. Sorry. Now, you can find ways to monetize to that audience. But again, if your side hustle is baking donuts, putting them in a box and putting them out on the curb for people to purchase. And I talk a lot about baking. And maybe some of you are thinking, like, baking, that's an awful side hustle. You can never do it. I know if you've ever been to Daddy's Bread in Rhode Island, baking could be an awesome side hustle. Once a week, this guy has bread available. You walk in, it's an honor system. You buy your bread, you buy your donuts, you buy everything. He bakes once a week. It's all there. When it's gone, it's gone. And all summer long, the guy's making a killing on bread. So you can do this with almost anything. Now, like I said, if you have a product that can ship, if you have a product or service that can be done long distance, YouTube will get you a worldwide audience. Podcasting is kind of the same thing. So if you have the ability to make money or sell products or sell your service worldwide, then it's worth looking into. And the same rule applies on YouTube. Don't make your videos on your channel just product ads. This is something I see bigger companies and middle-sized companies. Middle-sized companies make this mistake so badly all the time. I'm not going to name names. Some of the products that I buy are homesteading and farm products. Their YouTube channels could be so fun. If you think about homesteading, anybody who's selling product to homesteaders, it all involves animals or plants. Their videos could be so great. And some of those companies have the most boring videos you have ever seen, and they have like zilch subscribers. If you have a product or a service that you are trying to sell and you're doing it through YouTube, don't make all your videos an ad. Imagine if this channel were just one nonstop ad for the Pioneer program. Hey guys, this week on the Pioneer program, we talked about chickens. Subscribe and become a pioneer if you want to know about chickens. There would be nobody watching. There would be no Homesteady Pioneers because you don't want to watch an ad. You want to watch the thing. So you have to tell stories, produce good content. Same with your podcasts. Don't make it one endless promotional, product-driven, thing. Make it fun, good content. Now, while we're talking about this, I can't do a whole show about side hustles without talking about actually YouTube, podcasting, actually using that as your side hustle. In the comment section from our Saturday morning coffee talk, a lot of people wanted to know about doing YouTube to make money, doing podcasts to make money. I'm not going to talk about that at length today, but I do want to cover it quickly. The first thing I want to say is if you are going to start a YouTube channel or you want to start a podcast, I released a video an hour before I put this live stream out, how to set up this studio that you're watching me from and listening to me from right now. I showed you how to build this. It's in the corner of my office. For those of you who've been watching a long time, we actually have a different spot that we shoot our live show from. For a while, I wasn't able to use it because of quarantine. I am now able to use it again, but I haven't moved yet. I haven't done the big transition back there with the equipment that I brought over here. So that'll be coming. The Live from the Barn show will be back in the barn. But you can set this studio up. I show you how in a 15-minute video, so you can watch that. It's at our channel after you're done watching this. You can see how to do it. You can see the equipment I use to do this live stream and this podcast if you're listening on the podcast later. But what about actually looking to YouTube or a podcast as your side hustle? I put this in this second category of not the product or service that you provide, but rather the second part, telling people, because I don't think YouTube is a great side hustle on its own. So here I am, a YouTuber and a podcaster, telling you it's not a great way to make money. If you are just relying on what YouTube pays you, it will be years before most of you make any money, if you make any money at all, and it will be even more years before that's any kind of money that you could think about even being close to quitting your job. Just to put it in perspective, if the only way I made money from Homesteady was through YouTube ad revenue and podcast ads, I would still be working for somebody else right now, or I would still be running my marketing business. I could not feed my family from what YouTube pays me to make these videos or what podcast ad revenue I've got over the years. Media is very saturated. There are all kinds of videos out there that people can put ads on. Unless you have something really amazing that just explodes really quickly, you're probably not going to be able to quit your job. You're probably not going to even have a good income from your side hustle if the only way you make money from it is through what YouTube gives you to run ads on your videos. It is pennies to the dollar. But that doesn't mean YouTube or podcasting isn't something you should do. If you have a product and service, remember we were supposed to start with a product or a service that fixed a problem, right? So that means you already have a product to sell or you already have a service to sell. Now you can use YouTube or your podcast to let other people know about it. Again, you want to be a good storyteller. You want to make good content people enjoy. It's not just an ad for what you do or what you sell. But when you have a channel with a lot of people watching, while you might not make very much money off of YouTube ads, if you have a program to sell, if you have a product to sell, you can, all the people watching, they are potential customers that can support your actual business. So YouTube and podcasting is a great way to help spread the message that you have something that can solve people's problems. Maybe you will make some money from YouTube ad revenue. It's nice if it works out, but I guarantee you, you will make more money quicker, and in the long run, a lot more money if you have a product or a service to sell, in addition to whatever YouTube winds up giving you or whatever an ad company for your podcast would wind up giving you. One more thing I haven't talked about yet, and when you go to my website, you will see this front and center, this call to action on my website. Grow your homestead, feed your family from your land. Let's do it together. Join us. Get on the Homesteady email list. The most powerful sales driver you can use for your business, period. And there's nothing better for most businesses out there than an email list. Done. Not Facebook, not Instagram, not your website, not your email is the biggest return on investment for all those things. Now, an email list is not, when I say get yourself an email list, it's not a Microsoft Excel sheet where you have a bunch of emails that you copy and paste. Now, you could do that. That would work. But there's a lot better technologies out there these days that you can use. There's MailChimp. There's ConvertKit, just to name a couple of the ones that I've been familiar with over the years. You can go to these companies, sign up for free accounts where people can click the button, like on my website, you can click the button, join my email list. Automatically, you get these emails in a list. That company's software keeps track of them, all the emails, the open rates, the click rates. You can learn all kinds of things about how your emails are performing. So that's really helpful. But the real reason that you want to have an email list at all, the reason it's so powerful, is because if people give you their email, they are inviting you into their personal world. They give grandma their email address. They give mom and dad their email address. The kids have their email. Aunts and uncles have their email. And the companies that they actually value have their email. They unsubscribe quickly from the companies they don't value. But if they get an email from their favorite farm fresh egg lady, their favorite baker, their favorite candlestick maker, every week they get a nice email from them about what's going on the farm, what's going on with the animals, what the best recipe at the bakery is this week. They're going to look forward to reading that email. Or if they don't like reading, they're going to look forward to watching the video that you embedded into your email or listening to the podcast that you shared the link of. Make your emails just like your social media and your social media and your YouTube and your podcast. Make them nice stories, pictures, things people want to see. Don't flood their email inbox with buy now, buy now, buy now. The same rule applies. Keep them happy opening your emails. Keep them happy sharing. But when the time is right, when you have a sale, when you have a product that you're ready to move, email is the appropriate place to share that. Not that you can't share that on social media or you can't share it on your YouTube channel from time to time. Those of you who've watched Homesteady long enough know out of 100 videos, there will be a couple of them where I talk about a product that I have for sale. Maybe it's a new sweet hoodie that you can click there and purchase. Maybe it's the Pioneer program that you can get more bonus content. Maybe it's the Camel Train, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be on the Camel Train. But every video is not that. Every email is not that. Every social media post is not that. So in the email, send the stories, send the pictures, and when the time's right, send the sale message. Same on social media, same on your videos, your podcasts. But the email list is the most powerful sales driver, so make sure to use it. Have an email list. ConvertKit, MailChimp, all good solutions. And have a link from your website, because if people go to your website they took the time to get there, they should then be able to stay in touch with you through the email list. So speaking of website, let's talk about that in point number 3. So how can you actually take payments from people anywhere, anytime? We're going to talk about that in just a second, but it's time to do the Homesteady Camel Train shout out. And today's Camel Train shout out goes to Mickey. Mickey is an aspiring homesteader who is in the learning phase of getting into homesteading. She says, I love your channel and I think you're very good at teaching others. Thank you so much for the compliment, Mickey. She says, also more specific to the camel topic, as an IBCLC working with mothers and babies, she wanted to specifically commend Kay for working so hard to keep breastfeeding her baby. She said, you two are such an inspiration to others. Thank you. Mickey, that was so kind of you to say. Thank you so much for joining the Camel Train. You have lifetime access to the Pioneer program, which is this. This show that you're watching is the full-length version of what we produce. Once a week we do these live shows. Please, Mickey, join us for the live show. As you'll see at the end of this episode, we take questions from the pioneers. It's a great way to learn more about homesteading and you can be a part of it. And you watching can be a pioneer if you click right there. That's my product that I sell so that I can run this business. And the product is this online education. It's like a college degree in homesteading, not taught by myself, but taught by everybody I interview who are experts in whatever fields they are. Upcoming shows including grass-fed pigs, chicken nutrition. We have a feed specialist coming on. If you want that in-depth knowledge, become a pioneer like Mickey did. And now let's get back into talking about homestead side hustles. Point number 3 of 3. People, we already found a way to solve their problem with a product or solution. We let them know that we do that or that we have that. And finally, point 3 of 3, people need to be able to compensate you for fixing their problem. So they need to be able to pay you in some way. In the beginning, your little side hustle, honestly, the best way to grow your side hustle in the beginning is through social capital. What is social capital? It's not, Benjamins, not Lincolns, it's not Washingtons. In the beginning, you're going to focus on social capital, which is your immediate circle, helping to fix their problems, whether it's their problem is they're eating garbage eggs from the supermarket and they should be eating your eggs, which are the best they could have. And you give them a dozen farm fresh eggs. Or you give them a little bit of that farm fresh bacon. Or you have a little sample bar of soap that you make. It's a little small one, homemade goat milk soap. And you just give those to your friends and family to try. We interviewed Rachel Travis from Travis Family Farm. And we had a great, awesome interview with her on the Live from the Barn show. And she said her whole business started, she gave out samples to friends and family to try. And everybody came back to her like, I want to buy that from you. How do I get that? So social capital is huge. In the beginning, giving your product to people to try, to enjoy. You're going to get back in social capital, you're going to get feedback. People are going to tell you, oh man, I loved this. Did you really love it? Yeah. Anything you didn't like? Ask these questions. Anything you didn't like? What could be better? I find people who love you, usually, most of them, they really got to love you if they're going to tell you the downside easily. People who are your friends, who maybe aren't like, they're your friends, but like they're not going to just let you have it. Those people, the best way to get the good feedback, did you like it? Oh, yeah, it was great. What could I do that would make it better? Because then they're nice. They're not saying like, oh, it was bad. But you're just asking them, what could I do to make it better? Well, I liked this about it, but maybe you could do this. And that will help you in the beginning grow. So social capital is a big one. But we got to get beyond social capital. Your side hustle can't be just giving away farm fresh eggs. You got to make some Benjamins. So you got to have a way to have people pay you. If we think about farm fresh eggs, that honor system, the honor system is the easiest way to do a egg stand. You see a lot of homesteaders doing this. They have their little egg stand, they got the little box at the end of the road, and people put the money in. It's simple, it's easy, you don't have to worry about, being there all day long and making sure the shelf's stocked and all these other things. You put the eggs on the side of the road. When they're there, people put the money in. It's easy. But easy doesn't equal best, right? Just because something easy doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. So after we set up our honor system egg stand, how do we go from there? If you live in the middle of nowhere, who's going to drive all the way out to the middle of nowhere to buy your eggs? So what do? Well, this is where the internet comes in handy again. Of course, we could be very, very simple. We could use PayPal. PayPal Friends and Family, you don't even get charged. PayPal Friends and Family, they don't charge that percentage. You don't get protection, fraud protection as a seller or a buyer if you use PayPal Friends and Family. So use it in the right circumstance. Don't use it in the wrong circumstance. PayPal has a thing called PayPal buttons where you can add a button to your website pretty simply. They give you a little code so you can make a product like $10 with a button that says pay now. The very first way I took money online was I had my own website and I put a PayPal button on that website. So websites, that's an incredible tool for being able to do exchange with people online. Where do you go for a website? I really suggest for most of you, WordPress. WordPress is the best solution for most people. You can do almost anything with a WordPress website. It takes a little bit of skill, a little bit of knowledge. If you don't know how to do it, you can find somebody who will build you one. Usually beginner websites don't cost too much money. The free solutions are out there, but they're not great. They can take a lot from you, a lot of power, a lot of what you can do. So I really suggest if you can get a WordPress site or a Squarespace site, their sites are pretty nice too. I would suggest you go that route. I know there's 100 questions. What about Wix? What about Weebly? What about WordPress? WordPress. If you can do it, just do a WordPress site. The other ones, On your website, you can take credit cards. So you can do that with PayPal. You can do that with PayPal buttons. You can use companies like Stripe to take credit cards. Take credit cards. I know they get a percentage of the sale. But that is the cost of being able to do business with anybody at an instant. Think about how many people buy products that they weren't planning on buying because they can do it easily. When you go to McDonald's and they ask you, do you want fries with that? You don't pull out your wallet and go, well, I had enough for the dollar menu, but I'm $1 short. No, I can't get fries. I'm sorry, I can't get fries with that. I can't get fries with that. Because they couldn't hear you. You don't do that. You say, yeah, I want fries with that. And then you go, beep. You don't even remember how much you paid for the fries because you had your card on you. Maybe you're better than that kind of, you're better than when you go and make a purchase, you just run your card for anything. You probably think through that purchase a little bit more. But the point is, a lot of people make a lot of purchases just on a whim because they can. When I go to the farmer's market that we go to here in Pennsylvania, it's a huge market. Most of the vendors will take credit cards from their phone with Square or with Stripe, one of the credit card programs you can get out there to take credit cards on your phone. And those people do better because people don't carry cash on them right now. For the most part, most people don't carry a lot of cash on them. But they almost always have their card and they will almost always be able to purchase a little bit more, an extra thing, or your thing at all if you take cards. If you don't take cards, if you're like, no, I don't want to give up that 0.3% that they get, you will lose a lot more business. And to me, that little percentage, it's the cost of doing business. If you want your side hustle to grow into a full-time business, trust me, a full-time business that feeds your family, that lets you have the freedom to do what you want each morning. I am very fortunate. I get to wake up in the morning and say to myself, what am I going to do today? It's not always the thing I want to do. Otherwise, you'd be watching a fishing and hunting channel 24/7. Not always exactly what I want to do, but I get to choose. Today, I can choose I'm going to clean out, the pig poop from the stall today. It's not what I want to do, but I can choose to do it today, or I can say, you know what, I'm going to do that next week. Today, I'm going to go move the sheep onto fresh pasture. And I like doing that. I like seeing the sheep on fresh pasture. So you get to choose what you want to do when you have your own business. But trust me when I say, if you have your own business, there is a cost. Running a business costs money. You have to spend money to make money. And taking cards is one of those things that it will hurt. It will affect your bottom line. You will lose money. But if you're going to grow a business big enough to feed your family, quit your job, and go full-time with, you're going to be spending money on all kinds of things. Running Homesteady, I spend money on hosting. I spend money on equipment. I spend money on fees. Every product I sell has a fee. If I didn't take cards, I wouldn't be here right now. So just find ways, take the cards. And with those three, if you do those 3 steps, find a problem that people have and develop a product or service around that problem. Match the problem to a passion of yours, right? So we find that, we develop that product, something we're passionate about. We let people know, not in an obnoxious way, but in a very classy way, through social media, through word of mouth, letting people try our product, sharing it, pictures, stories. Now people know, and then they come to us and they want it, and they don't have enough money in their wallet, but we can take their card, they can put a deposit down. You do those 3 things, your side hustle will make you money. And maybe in 5 years, it's about what it took me. Maybe in 5 years, you'll be able to go full time. Maybe in 1 year, maybe your side hustle is going to do way better than mine. And in 1 year, you're going to be able to go full time. Maybe you'll never go full time with your side hustle. Maybe your side hustle will bring you a couple extra $100 a month. And at the end of the year, a couple extra $100 at the end of the month, it's $2,000. At the end of 10 years, that's 20 grand. If you put that into, some savings account, that's a lot of money from a hobby that you had, that you enjoyed doing, that you probably would have done anyway. I'm going to take a quick look to see if there's any questions I can answer here. Thank you for joining us live for this. So, over at the Homesteady Pioneers Live from the Barn show, we had a question. Obviously, this would depend on what your hustle is, but would it generally be better to focus initial marketing efforts on a website/social media or your local community? What do you find gets the word out faster? That is an awesome question. And the person who asked the question, they nailed it when they said, obviously, this would depend on what your hustle is. So I would absolutely tell you, if you sell to your local community, if you are a local business that services your local community, that's a tough one. I would be focusing on my local community for sure through social media and my website. So you kind of mix this. When someone walks in, let's go to the bakery, right? You make fantastic donuts, the best donuts. They're wonderful donuts, right? But you're only going to sell to people who are willing to drive to your bakery. You don't want to ship donuts. You don't want them to get stale. You want the best product out there, and you don't want to ship donuts. So they got to come into your store for fresh donuts. When they walk in the door, the first thing you do is you give them a great experience. It's a nice, clean place. They're happy to be there. They're enjoying being there. They smell it. Ooh, they get the best donuts. So that's important. And you remember their name, and you remember what they like, and you give them a taste of something else, right? Oh, hey, try this. We just made this. Try this. You're gonna love it. Oh man, they do love it. They're gonna get that too next time. They're gonna get it both. So you give them that good local. Get them talking about it, right? Then, before they go, you want them on your email list. So they walk in your door. They're going through the whole experience. You're chit-chatting with them because you're being really friendly because they're your customer. They're giving you money. You should be nice to these people. And you say, this is delicious. You say, oh, you know what? Make sure you get on our email list because we only make those once every month. And if you want to make sure you get them, I'll let you know on the email list I send out once a week. I tell you what we're cooking or I tell you what we're baking. Or make sure you get on my email list because we take pre-orders. We sell out of those every weekend, but if you give me a pre-order, I'll hold them for you. Or make sure you get on my email list. I actually send the recipe out of how to make a version of those at home. I'll let you know you can get my recipes once a month. So whatever way you can, they're there in person. You give them a great experience, give them a little taste, get them on the email list. From your email list, you can get them on social media. You can get them to your website. But the difference between social media and your website, social media controls when they see your stuff. So I can post a picture on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram and you cannot see that picture. If I send out an email and you're on my email list, you will get that email as long as it didn't wind up in your spam folder, which there are ways to work around that. But that way you're in control of when people get it. So that's what I would suggest. Great question. Great local. If you're local, focus on great local experience, but then get that email and then slowly upgrade them onto social and get them following you on social media and all those other things. Untitled Life Homestead wanted to know how long did it take you to get subscribers on YouTube to get monetized. So back when we started, you didn't have to get a certain number. You could get monetized right away. But it took us probably a year, I want to say, or two on YouTube. I think 2 years on YouTube before I made a dime. Copperhead Road Homestead. What do you do with the email list once you have it? I'm pretty sure I answered that already, Copperhead Homestead. I'm sure you asked that before I went into that in depth. But just to make sure it's clear, when you have their email, once you have an email list and people are getting onto it, do a weekly newsletter. So this is a good thing. I didn't actually really specify Copperhead. Do a weekly newsletter or monthly, but weekly's better. Get in the habit of once a week sending out an email. And I've heard this described as cookie content. So you're training like you're training a dog. And this sounds, you're not training people like a dog, but let me get through this. Nobody's stopping me. I'm stopping me. You're sending a cookie in the email every week. And what I mean by cookie is cute pictures of goats, nice stories, recipes, nice things people actually want, not buy. So you have a month, right? There's 4 weeks in a month. That's 4 emails that you're going to write to your subscribers. Week 1 is going to be a nice recipe that you share. Week 2 is going to be the story about your favorite little chicken and what she does that's so cute. Week 3 is going to be the podcast that you recorded about what's going on at your homestead. And week 4, you're going to let everybody know, hey, we're taking pre-orders on that pasture chicken that we have available. Buy now. And here's a nice picture from the pasture. This was fun to open and read. This was fun to open and read. This was fun to open and listen to. So they're going to open this one because they like the first 3. And they're going to, whoa, they are selling farm fresh chicken. I didn't even know they sold farm fresh chicken. Now I know, and they're taking pre-orders. I don't want to miss out. I'm going to put my money. And look, they take cards. So I can actually do this right now. I don't have to like send them ye old check through ye old post office. Boom, you just made a sale with your side hustle selling pastured chicken. Way to go, Copperhead Road Homestead. Proud of you. Farmer Brad's here with us. Go check out Farmer Brad's channel. He says taking pre-orders for a product is a great way to minimize the amount of upfront costs you have in order to get an item to market. So true, Farmer Brad. Take deposits on big stuff. You're doing meat for people? Take deposits. It's awesome. And I'm pretty sure that covers most of the questions. Thank you so much for joining for this live show. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it added some value. I hope it helps you start your side hustle. And I hope in a year you can quit your job and do your side hustle because you love what you're doing and it's working. Honestly, it'll probably take longer than a year. Don't be disappointed if it takes you 5 years. That's about what it took me. Don't be disappointed if it never does, because guess what? I had like 10 side hustles in my life. I started as a Pokemon card trader back in about 6th grade. I did not make a whole lot of money as a Pokemon card. I didn't own any Pokemon cards. I was like a dealer, realtor. I like represented people with Pokemon cards. Oh, you want Charmander? I got a guy. You put me a deposit and I'll find your Charmander. I then went into pencil whittling. That didn't do too well either. Nobody wanted whittled pencils. Over the years, I got better and better with my side hustles. The first one might not work. Might be your Pokemon cards, your pencil whittles. The 8th one might be Snow plowing. I used to do snow plowing, driveways. I made good money doing it. Wasn't my favorite thing to do, but worked. I used to teach butcher classes on how to butcher a chicken. That one I made probably about $1,000 doing in my whole life. Not awful, but I definitely couldn't have fed my family teaching people to butcher chickens. But it got me closer and closer to where I am today, doing Homesteady full time. And I can only do that with you viewers who've joined me for the live streams, you viewers who are Homesteady pioneers, who have purchased some of our products, our shirts or whatever it is. I've only been able to do that with the support of all of you. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you watching tonight, or who are watching or listening to the podcast. I could never have turned my passion side hustle into a full-time thing without all of you. Even if you haven't purchased anything, but you've watched the channel and told another person about it, that's that social capital we talked about. So if you've been involved at all in any way, I'm here because of that. I thank you so much for being a part of this. We're going to sign off now because I'm going to lose my voice. We'll see you in tomorrow's video.